Every culture has its legends. In racing, some are written in trophies, statistics, and championships, but others live only in whispers, in stories told in garages, on internet forums, and around midnight meets. Tonight's story belongs to the second kind, the myth that refuses to die. This is the legend of the Midnight Racer. Welcome back to Horizon Resonance. Tonight we're diving into one of the most enduring urban legends of car culture. A figure who appeared suddenly, dominated the night, and disappeared just as quickly. A driver who was never caught, never identified, and whose story still echoes decades later. Was it one person, a group, or pure fiction? That's for you to decide. The Midnight Racer wasn't a track champion or a public celebrity. According to those who claim to have seen them, this mysterious driver built a reputation far from cameras and trophies. They ruled the quiet highway on the edges of the city, where empty stretches of asphalt became their personal proving ground. Some say the car was a plain-looking coupe, heavily modified but disguised under simple paint. Others insist it was an exotic prototype, stripped of branding, a ghost machine in the night. Whatever it was, one detail was consistent. The car was impossibly fast. The first sightings go back to the late 80s and early 90s. Amateur racers returning home from sanctioned track events reported being followed, then overtaken, by a blur of headlights and the howl of an engine tuned beyond legal limits. Police reports recorded mysterious cars vanishing at 200, even 250 kilometers per hour. Never pulled over, never caught. The stories were dismissed as exaggerations or excuses, until the number of consistent reports grew too large to ignore. What made the Midnight Racer unforgettable wasn't just raw speed, but the precision of their driving. Witnesses described impossible maneuvers, weaving through late-night traffic with millimeter accuracy, braking so late it seemed suicidal, yet always pulling away unscathed. Some said the driver had reflexes like a machine. Others swore the car itself was unnaturally stable, as if it was ahead of its time in engineering. Mechanics who claimed to have heard it up close said the engine scream carried the signature of custom turbocharging, high-octane fuel, and perfect tuning. Whatever the truth, it was clear this was not an ordinary street racer. Over time, the legend grew. For young drivers, the Midnight Racer became a symbol of possibility, proof that pure skill could overshadow fame and money. For older enthusiasts, it was a reminder of a wilder era when freedom was bigger than regulations and speed cameras. For law enforcement, it was a frustration. How could something so fast, so obvious, leave behind no name, no plate, no paper trail? Theories about the driver's identity are endless. Some say it was a professional racer moonlighting on public roads, testing themselves without contracts or team restrictions. Others believe it was a wealthy collector, bored with luxury and hungry for adrenaline, willing to risk everything in secret. More conspiratorial theories suggest it was not one person, but many. A crew of skilled drivers taking turns behind the wheel of a shared car to maintain the illusion of a single phantom. A few even claimed it was a manufacturer testing experimental prototypes, disguising them as street legends to cover up their presence on public highways. What keeps the story alive are the details. A gas station worker who remembered a stranger paying cash in the dead of night, smelling of racing fuel. Tire marks left on deserted interchanges with no recorded accidents. Police chases logged but never resolved. Cars lost in the mist, or vanishing down side roads known only to locals. Breadcrumbs that, individually, are meaningless. Together, they sketch the outline of something larger, and then there are the cultural echoes. Entire online forums were dedicated to tracking sightings, with blurry photos, grainy audio recordings, and long debates about which engine note matched the legend. Car clubs retold the story to new members like a rite of passage. Some garages even built tribute cars inspired by descriptions of the Midnight Racer's machine, matte paint, hidden badges, tuned engines designed to run harder and louder than anything legal. The myth became a lifestyle, a shared language in the community. Police didn't ignore it. Records show increased patrols in certain areas at certain times, hoping to catch the phantom. But every time, the racer slipped away. Some officers admitted, off the record, that chasing was pointless. Their cruisers weren't built for those speeds. Others hinted that maybe, secretly, they admired the skill, even as they condemned the recklessness. What's undeniable is that the Midnight Racer embarrassed authority. In a world where control was tightening, one figure remained untouchable. But let's not romanticize it too much. There was risk, enormous risk. Witnesses recalled near misses with trucks, close calls with late-night commuters, even one rumor of a crash that was never officially recorded. If true, that would mean the legend might have ended in silence, covered up by loyal friends, or simply forgotten when evidence was too messy. Yet the absence of proof only deepened the myth. People prefer a ghost to a corpse. So what's the truth? Perhaps the Midnight Racer was one extraordinary driver who lived for the edge, who measured life in speed and silence. Or perhaps it was many, a shifting identity kept alive by those who wanted the story to never end. Or maybe it was nothing more than exaggeration layered upon coincidence, a myth created by our collective desire for mystery. Legends survive not because they are true, but because we want them to be. What's fascinating is the lesson embedded in the myth. First, skill never goes out of style. Technology changes, cars evolve, but the edge comes from the driver, from instincts sharpened by practices and nerve. Second, legends remind us why we love this culture. It's not just horsepower or lap times. It's the feeling of rebellion, the thrill of the unknown, the echo of an engine in an empty night. Third, myths have power. Even if the Midnight Racer never existed, the story has inspired thousands to chase mastery, to build machines, and to believe in something larger than themselves. Some say the racer still exists, maybe older now, driving less often, starting the car once a month in a hidden garage just to keep the engine alive. Others believe the car was dismantled years ago, its parts scattered, its memory carried only in whispers. But legends don't really die. They live in the retelling, in the imagination, in every driver who pushes a little harder on an empty road because of a story they once heard. And that's why the Midnight Racer matters, because whether or not they were real, they represent the untamed spirit of racing, the side that resists being controlled, measured, or caged. A reminder that the love of speed is not only about competition, but about freedom, identity, and myth. So tell me, do you believe the Midnight Racer was real? Or just a story born of wishful thinking and sleepless highways? And more importantly, do you think legends like this still exist in our world of cameras, GPS trackers, and constant surveillance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The best answers will feature in the next episode. If you enjoyed this dive into racing folklore, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Daily stories, mysteries, and legends. This is Horizon Resonance, and this was the legend of the Midnight Racer.